It's time to play back one of our favorite conversations. This was recorded over Campfire Kinship's Instagram Live. You can find the video link in the show notes, and we hope you enjoy.
In every single interaction, there comes a moment when we wonder, do you see me? Do you hear me? Welcome to the Heart to Heart podcast. I'm your host, Gayathri Shukla, and I'm the founder of Campfire Kinship, an organization building inclusive cultures through storytelling. This season is about exploring something that is core to being human, and that is our need to belong. So imagine gathering around a campfire with stories reaching your heart. I am partnering with CJSW 90.9 and recording in Mohkinstsis or Calgary, a sacred place where the Bow and Elbow Rivers meet, and home to Blackfoot Confederacy, Tsuut'ina, Stoney Nakoda Nations, Métis Nation, and all residents of Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta. Today's episode is on cultivating community, and it is with Evelyne, who is the founder of Ellie Bianca. And so today we're going to be talking all about the power of the community and how important it is to really nurture that, to be able to tap into that, to leverage the wisdom of the community, and at the same time, how we can give back to it. And someone who I consider is really doing inspiring things in this space is Evelyne. And I guess one of the things that's really strange about this period is just how isolated we've felt, right? Whether it's the social isolation, physical isolation, for sure, we're mostly working online, but it is a strange period to be in. And so how do we continue to keep our spirits up, keep close to the people that matter in our lives? And these are important things because whether we like it or not, human beings are social animals, right? And so who we spend our time with and how we interact, how we learn and support each other is all so important in our life. Evelyne, just saying, I see you as someone based on your work and what I know of it in Ellie Bianca, is someone that truly leverages the power of the community and you give back to it, whether it's through your scholarship, whether it's through leveraging women entrepreneurs in your supply chain, and all of those things that you do that really speaks to the power of that community. And so I'd love to learn a little bit more about your story and maybe share with us a little bit of how you got started with Ellie Bianca.
Wow. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. And just really creating this platform or this place so we can actually have this conversation. Yeah, I do love community because I believe in the power of connection. Um, I heard you talk about, some of the things that I really believe in terms of saying, we are social animals and, we exist because of who we interact with and the people that are around us. That is really what makes it happen. Uh, After working in the oil and gas for several years, I really felt compelled that I wanted to do something that ignited conversations like this. Honestly, that's just really why I started the brand, and I'm talking about sharing stories. Share my story, you share your story, and sharing the stories of others, and together we are able to inspire hope. I'm such a firm believer in that. Yeah. So it all happened when I was in Central Africa, and while out there on a construction project, purchasing mangoes and being asked to pay the man when it's the woman that did all the work. And just said, this is wrong. It happens everywhere, not just Africa. It happens in North America. And we need to start these conversations that are authentic, so we're not just hiding in the, gender equality and women empowerment, and they're all big words. But I wanted us to start breaking it down and saying, what are some of the issues that hold us back as women? And education for me is a big thing. That's why we started the scholarship, because, you educate a woman and you're feeding the entire village. Yes, there's not just in Africa, even right here in Calgary, right here.
Like that. I can really relate to that, Evelyne. So I'm a board member at Calgary Women's Immigration Association, CIWA. And so I just truly believe in the mission of CIWA is also to empower immigrant women in Canada and to enrich Canadian society. And I can see the benefits of that, like you said, education for a woman, finding equitable employment, and how it doesn't just benefit the woman, but the entire village around her, right? Her family, all the people that she touches. And so I love your story because to me, it's just an example of taking action. So observing an issue, an inequality, and doing something about it. And it's just so heartwarming to hear stories like that, but because it empowers everyone, right? To feel like, yes, we have a voice, we have an ability to make a difference in the lives of others.
Yeah, and we all have a role to play. It's not someone else's problem, you know? Because sometimes you hear things like, "Oh, I don't want to get into that. That is too political." I don't want to get involved in that. But who is going to get involved if we don't get involved? And again, it's just small actions, and if we all took those little actions, then we're really able to make a huge impact collectively.
Exactly, exactly. And that's how we build change, right? Those incremental little steps that lead to that big change. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about your inspiration to start Ellie Bianca with the three pillars that you thought. And can you please remind me those three pillars? Because I was reading that on your website and it touched my heart to see those and just the clarity of your vision and your brand that you want to be for Ellie Bianca.
Yeah, just before we started the brand, we went through a very rigorous exercise. And this is something that I will encourage, any entrepreneur to work through that because it really grounds you. So we hired a professional and we spent days, um, talking about what is it that we want this brand to look like. We didn't have a product then or anything, but just before I started, I wanted that clarity on what did I want Ellie Bianca to look like, and I brought in people that my friends, my family, people that know me well, that were able to tell me that that's not you. That might be someone that you want to be, maybe something that you aspire to, but this is truly what your values are. So after working through, weeks and weeks with a facilitator, uh, we settled on, and Emily's used to work with me. If she watches this at some point, you know, Emily ended up coining these three pillars of being kind to your skin because I've always been passionate about clean beauty, passionate about, what goes on your skin goes right into your bloodstream. So I can't be eating organic foods and being very careful with what I'm eating, but then, being a little relaxed on my skincare. So we kind of put that down of kind to your skin as and no compromise. So the pillars are really truly, these are our no compromise thing that we will not compromise. We will be kind to our skin. We'll be extremely clean in terms of ingredient choices. And then I looked into kind to the earth. So of course, so many years, I worked in the oil and gas, and my role was on environmental sustainability and ensuring the projects that are being built are incorporating sustainability. So I wanted, because that was another thing. I mean, I earned my Evelyne title because I won't compromise on certain projects, and got projects to be dismantled and starting again when certain things were not done, and so being really kind to the earth has always been part of my life, a very, very important part. So I wanted to bring that to Ellie Bianca so I don't lose that aspect of who I am. But truly, the reason why the brand started was being kind to women. And how do we become kind to women? It's making sure that the woman is not abused, starting by what goes on our skin. Because if you look at the bigger brands that are out there, most of them are owned by men. So we know that the drivers is purely economic, and they will not, they just, what do they know about our skin? What do they know about mono changes and everything that happens? So we wanted, right from day one to make sure that we are kind to a woman's skin and we are not going to allow her to be abused. And then, of course, you know, looking and saying, how do we help empower the woman? How do we find opportunities for women? And how do we start the authentic conversations on issues relating to women? So we put that down, that we will have conversations. We will not apologize for being women. We will not apologize for doing things a woman way. You know, if you're in a boardroom and you feel emotional, it's okay to be emotional. It's okay to cry, you know, and then start again. And we want to normalize that. And we don't need, I remember in my time, and I'm going to date myself here. Remember my time when they'll say, you know, nice girl, I was reading the book, Nice Girls Don't Get the Corner Office 101. I write that book. You remember the book? It's everybody's been initiated into that of our age group. I'm assuming we're around the same age. So yeah, that's a book that gets advertised, right? That's exactly that, and it rubbed me the wrong way because I mean, I already had my daughter, and I was like, "No, I really don't want to be nasty to get the corner office. I wanna be a woman, and I also want the corner office." So that kind to women was super, super important to us and, you know, making sure that we're creating opportunities. So we put those pillars down, and this was like, God, when we are a $1 billion brand, like, please help me not to forget, what is important to the brand. So we put that out there to constantly remind us, how it all goes down. So when I'm formulating, we're asking those questions of, is this product going to be kind to women? Is this product supporting women? So where are the ingredients coming from? We are working on our packaging. Who is on our supply chain, and how are we connecting women and ensuring that the dollar stays in a woman's pocket a little longer. And that includes our staff. We're mainly all female led here at Ellie Bianca. So just really slowly adding incremental impact that change the lives of women. And then the brand is named after my daughter, Ellie Bianca. So wanting to create um, even little changes so that Ellie can have a little bit of a better playground than I did.
Exactly. Oh, I love that. I love that because I too have a daughter. She's 6 years old. I have a son and a daughter. So, I think about this all the time is how am I setting an example for her that it is the role model, but also at the same time creates change so that her life is a little bit easier, and so that she doesn't have to face the same barriers. And for my son, how am I setting examples so that he learns to respect the women in his life and support the women in his life, and also encourages positive, stereo or combats negative stereotypes, but encourages positive stereotypes for boys. Because I think there's also that element there where boys are kind of misled into this toxic culture a bit. And so I think about that all the time. And so thank you for sharing your story because I love how all of your pillars that you just laid out is so congruent with what you do.
And I'll tell you, because sometimes it's so much easier. Even today, we're working on formulating a new product. And I'm so glad that we set those pillars because as I'm looking through the ingredients list, and I'm going, I'd had a conversation with the chemist that is helping me out. And, we laid out the ingredients, but somehow, we chemists sometimes love playing with different things. And, before I knew it, I saw her sneaking through an ingredient. And then, I had to just, I went back to 6 years ago when we sat in that boardroom in downtown talking about, what will Ellie Bianca represent, and we talked about the authenticity of our formulations that, when customers will see our brand, they will not need to look at ingredients because they will know that we've already done the due diligence on their behalf. And I quickly had to send her a note and say, why do we have these police survey 20, right? When we are very clear on our objective that it will be 100%. And it's quick, to clean that out. So, like, super important. I encourage anyone getting into business to say you must set those ground rules of what is it? What are your non-negotiables? Because when as you grow and things get busy, you always go back to that grounding as that starting point.
Exactly. And it reminds you of your purpose, right? It reminds you of why you were there in the first place to create what you're creating. And so I even like how you, with your background in environmental science and being in chemistry yourself, that you're able to pick out those ingredients yourself and you have that wherewithal to call it out. So I commend you for that. That's excellent. Not everybody has that, right?
I mean, I'm not about the easy route because I mean, like I can easily use it's a solubilizer. I can easily go with the cheaper solubilizer or emulsifier, that of course lowers the cost. But just at the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm okay to pay 5 times more and get something natural because this is not in line with that earth that we saw at the beginning of, that we will make sure that we are really doing the due diligence on behalf of our customers.
Exactly. Oh, I love that. And then on this topic of community, Evelyn, one of the things that I think you pointed out earlier too, of the sharing the stories. And so one of the things I love doing at Campfire Kinship is truly diving into the passions and the resilient stories that each of us carry, right? Because I think we're all unique. I believe we're all put on this earth to serve our purpose. And it's unique for everyone. It isn't necessarily something that one person's doing that's different from the others, right or wrong. It is truly that ability to uniquely own our gifts and serve our purpose. And so I feel like community is plays such a big part in that because it's when we share our stories, we get to learn from each other, we get to support each other. We even get to, maybe we come across an idea or an inspiration for a business idea or something, right? That just kind of changes the course of our lives. And so that's why the title is Campfire Kinship. Kinship is that aspect of belonging in a community, and I believe community doesn't mean we have to share the same background or same whatever dimensions of diversity there is. It just means that we can belong, that we can see each other for our unique and celebrate that. And so I really appreciate you getting into this topic with me because it's something that I'm passionate about, and I'd love to hear how you leverage community at Ellie Bianca. I think you touched on some aspects, and I'd love to hear more about what you do.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a tribe. I'm of course originally from Kenya. I'm from the Kisi tribe, and I always provide that reference because growing up in Kisi was really beautiful, and it sets grounding for me on what it truly means to be part of a tribe, and within the Kisi tribe, there's so many clans. There's so many houses, they call them. But then, what brings the people together, those that are either the same clan or the same house, like they call it, is that, you got that sense of belonging, you're speaking the same language, you do things similarly, your value system, so to say. Actually, I guess the language is the same within all of the kisses, but then it's how you do things. You're doing things the same way. Your value systems are the same. When one person's house is on fire, everybody jumps in and comes and helps. If a person is getting married, everybody chips in. I still chip in. I still send money into Kisi whenever there's a wedding. My mom will just be like, oh, no, no, we have to support. Those are our people. We have to support. When there's a child going to university, we all support and chip in. When there's a funeral, in Kisi, everybody will stop. If it's within the same area, everybody will stop going to work and they will mourn together and support each other. And you see that solidarity. And I tried as I'm building a new home. I mean, I guess I've been here 20 years or more. But as I'm building a new family here and a new tribe, and these are people that we share the same values, it's finding ways to say, okay, how do we support one another, whether the listening, I we used to hold a lot of events here, and we'll sit around with and I set it up in circles, and our logo is also speaks to that, where it's a circle of women trying to come together and have conversations and listen to each other's stories and celebrate each other. But also, whenever there is an issue, you know, support each other, counsel each other. It's no counseling in Africa, right? So you are the therapist for it. You're sharing, and that's how some of these women get to go through life. So we were having lots and lots of events here, having those conversations, authentic conversations. And, some of the work that we did with, Fair Trade Calgary was around creating strong women, connecting strong women. And we'll come around and we'll like really informal conversation. It's interesting, how people opened up, and whether it be one going through a hard time or one trying to figure out how to maneuver through the career or business, to bringing experts to support us. And now we're bringing those conversations now online, as that's all we can do for now. So for me, really, that's I kind of answered it a longer winded way, but community is not just the support, not just saying I'm gonna support because it feels, and sometimes it feels like that. Oh, I'm just buying Ellie Bianca because it's local, you know. I just want to support, but it's taking the good and the bad. It's taking that ownership that I have a sense of belonging, and I'm going to really make sure that I'm involved in everything and everything because there's that pride that comes with it.
Mhm. And I think what I'm hearing too is that sense of what can I give back, right? There's the element of leaning into the community and supporting each other, and also taking that leadership on what can I give back to the community. And I wonder too, oftentimes does that message get lost, right? Uh, because we're in a period of isolation right now, and even though we might be connected to our friends virtually, we don't see them in person, right? And so it becomes really hard to really connect in that meaningful way. And I think what I'm hearing from you is that having that attitude of also giving back. And I love the examples you shared back home, right? Like if there's a wedding, they'll send money, and just really participating in that fully.
You're in it, and it's not like people know, they put it out there. So and so's child is going to university, and people just know, and it's not the parents that will be asking for that help. It's others that will be just automatically, there will be a committee, or somebody's child is getting married, the community will just jump in and really own that wedding and organize it and just come together. Same as the funeral. I remember losing my dad a couple of years ago, and even when dad was in the U.S. and we were here, nobody was back home, and the people demanded that they wanted, even though there was nobody in our house, that they wanted the gate to be opened because they wanted to be in the house, like in our compound, every day. They just want to come there and be there, even if for 2 months that we were, or 3 months almost, that we were like, in North America. Every day we came, and they say, we're going to warm the wall. So it's the same thing, I think, in as we are building our community. It's everything, all aspects of all.
Exactly. Embracing it 100%. I totally agree. And I think too, like a lot of cultures in the East, I mean, coming from India, it is a very collective culture. And so that community mindset is just woven into the fabric of people's experience, right? And so being intentional about it as much as possible is super important, I believe. So one thing I wanted to ask you, Elena, I know you have a campaign called Beautiful You. And I would love to hear your perspective on um, being unapologetic. And I think this is something that's important conversation now, especially we just had International Women's Day. We had the theme choose to challenge. And I wonder, how does a woman choose to challenge those kinds of stereotypes to be unapologetically herself, right? And so I'd love to hear more about the campaign itself and how it feeds into the being unapologetic.
Yeah, it's really interesting that the topic this year was on you know choosing to challenge, and we had already set the tone for our campaign, right, even just before the new year, saying our goal for this year and our focus this year to embrace beautiful you and not apologizing for who you are, because oftentimes, especially we women, we're constantly saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry," even when we don't need to say "I am," when there's nothing to say. And there's a lot that we're not embracing, the entire womanhood, we're ashamed of natural things that happen. I mean, one of the topics that we've been having around it, we just had a beautiful event yesterday. Um, really celebrating women, not just in March, but how do we celebrate women beyond March? And how do we start breaking some of the barriers, and how do we start breaking some of the taboos, like what things like menopause, right? How do we make it normal? And I say how timely that we're starting these conversations for our children. Because why do we need a woman gets to that menopause period and she doesn't want to talk about it at all? A lot of people, say, "Oh, I'm not comfortable talking about that topic." You know, Lots of women so scared. They say, "You know what? Like, I am scared of getting into menopause." It's like you're losing your entire womanhood. Whereas, really, this is when you're getting to be a woman. This is like, yeah. You've had your periods. You don't have to have your periods anymore. And here you are, menopause, and really learning about how our body changes, and how do we take care of our bodies better, and just really embrace how we were created, and not have to hide it. And I think, that's why I think, it's a theory that maybe potentially people hit that 50s and that their blood pressure goes on because you're probably stressed out when you're like, "Oh my goodness, I'm having a hot flash, but I don't want to say it's hot flash. Uh, I'm just gonna go and wash my face at the bathroom," kind of thing. But the stress, it's all in there. So really this year for us, we're inviting women to join us, to embrace who they are and embrace where you find yourself, and do not apologize. And for me, one of the things I'm saying is that, I'm not going to apologize for being a woman. I'm not going to apologize for being an immigrant woman. I'm not going to apologize for being a Black woman. So I am taking all of that with pride, and I'm just saying, hey, I'm taking my space in society, and please, how my hand is up. How do I become a fully participating member, and how do I add value? How do I find opportunities for other women, and how do I keep lifting others?
Oh, wow. I love that. I love just all those statements that you said. How do I be unapologetic for being a woman? I mean, it's it's surprising, right? It's 2021 and we're still having to hide parts of ourselves. And why is that? Why is it that we can't bring our authentic self? My friend Erin here, hi Erin, she says, embrace that it looks different for all of us, different ages, different symptoms, etc. Yes, to your point on menopause, right? Why is that still a taboo topic? It's just a natural part of life. And it's breaking those stereotypes and breaking those negative myths or misconceptions and using your voice. And so I love that you're doing that, Evelyn. And I love that you're doing that through skincare too, because I feel like a lot of times the bigger mainstream brands out there are trying to force like a younger stereotype of not aging and always looking young and all of those things. But what I'm hearing is age gracefully and age into your skin and be unapologetic for it.
Yeah, I know we refuse to use anti-aging, because, there's nothing that is anti-aging. Aging is going to happen. We can slow down aspect, but we're going to age, and we can help how we age, but we are going to age. So when you say anti-aging, there's absolutely nothing that stops aging. Let's just be very clear on that. Even when you get Botox, even when you get fillers, those fillers do wear out, you know? So yes, we can enhance, but we're aging. So all that we can do is say, okay, I'm going to have a good diet. I'm going to have a good skincare ritual. I'm going to do treatment if you need to do treatment. But we are aging, you know, and but it's how we choose to age, and it's how we choose to show up, and the pride that comes with it, and not, having to be too stressed out that I can't, oh my goodness, my husband can't see me without makeup, I gotta get up before he gets up.
Yes. Like, yeah, why do we still have those notions? And kudos to you for breaking those barriers and really believing in a world that's better for women and kinder to women, right? And kinder to the earth and kinder to our skin. And I love everything about that. And please share where we can find more information about your campaign, Evelyne. Can people go on your website, or how would
Really, one of the things I'm saying is like, we can't do this alone. So I am inviting others, both men and women, to join us in having this authentic conversation, in creating space so that people can be comfortable, women can be comfortable to show up just the way they are. And of course, let's carry this conversation beyond March. Let's carry the conversation not just on our platforms, but we want to hear these conversations on other platforms, and tag us so that we know that you're having these conversations, and we would love to join it. But to learn more about our brand, it's elliebianca.com, so www.elliebianca.com. You can check us out there. We have a store, if you're in Calgary, we have a storefront on 60th Avenue, 814 60th Avenue. We are open and very safe. So we love to have those socially distanced conversations here as well, because I know that we're yearning for that togetherness. But you come check us out, our product. But what we are more than products. What we love the most is building relationships and building community, and just kind of be in there, be involved.
Exactly. And I'm so grateful to have met you, Evelyn. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I totally wholeheartedly agree. This isn't just a conversation for March. It is about creating those authentic connections and creating space to have these conversations. So thank you for everything that you shared, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend as well.
Yeah, you as well, and thank you for having me.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Heart to Heart. I'm your host, Gayathri Shukla, founder of Campfire Kinship. If you'd like to learn more about storytelling, come visit campfirekinship.com. If you liked today's episode, hit the subscribe button and join us for future episodes.